Thanks, Anne-Marie. So you may not have noticed it yet, but AI is already changing how we get through airports and big crowds. Air Canada is now testing out AI-powered facial recognition tech for boarding some flights in Vancouver and Toronto. And Pearson Airport in Toronto is acquiring an AI-backed threat detection technology called Hexware, and that's for contactless security scans. With a closer look at this, tech expert Sinead Bovell joins us in studio. Welcome back, Sinead.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So this is really interesting, emerging technology. And, you know, Air Canada and Pearson are the first in Canada to test this specific technology. So for passengers moving through the airports, what will this look like?
Yeah, and I will say, you know, depending on which airport you're at or which company, it could look a little differently or a little bit different. With Air Canada, you're essentially creating kind of a digital ID on their app.
Right.
And then when you move through the airport, instead of always having to take out a boarding pass or a passport, you're using their facial recognition systems to be authorized into places like the lounge or onto the plane. So the idea is moving towards contactless movement through the airport.
Got it. And, you know, France, obviously, the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris are coming up, and they're going to be using this technology, kind of AI video surveillance during those Summer Olympics. So how could this tech make massive events, whether the Olympics or concerts, safer for attendees?
Right. So theoretically, AI thinks and analyzes data a little bit different than the human eye. So the goal would be to be able to spot patterns and do things with large numbers. We know, for example, that at a Taylor Swift concert a few years ago, she used facial recognition to prevent certain stalkers from entering the building.
Right.
And then using AI to kind of surveil large crowds can be easier than the human eye. However, we don't necessarily have access to the success rate of it enhancing security. So I say the goal is to enhance security, but we can't yet verify that until we get more data on that end.
It's incredible. She was doing that a few years ago at concerts. That's just wild. This technology kind of raises a lot of issues, and there's a fair amount of criticism and concern that goes along with it. So can you take us through some of the risks involved here?
Right. So privacy and civil liberties, like where is the data coming from? How is it stored? How is it collected? And what happens if these systems get hacked, right? So anytime we use our biometric information, a face scan, a retina scan, if that gets hacked or that data gets leaked, you can't really get a new face. So we're putting a lot of trust in the hands of these companies. We know that sometimes facial recognition can also be quite biased and not work as well for women and visible minorities, so we might subject certain groups to a lot more interrogation or not, you know, kind of valid entry. And then sometimes we've seen these technologies exploited. There was a situation with Madison Square Garden where a lawyer was kicked out of the event venue in New York because she was on the litigation team that was working against that company. So all sorts of areas for potential misuse, risk, and harm potentially.
Yeah, some really valid concerns there. And, you know, Pearson and Air Canada say their AI-powered tech is still in its early stages. But, I mean, look to the future, if you will, for us. What could this look like several years from now?
If we're moving at the current rate of adoption, we might move towards a situation where we get to airports 25, 30 minutes ahead of our flight. Most security checkpoints could be automated. Even things like baggage could all be facilitated through things like biometric scanning, so face scanning, retina scanning. So things could move a lot more efficiently, a lot more streamlined. That will, of course, have some implications for human labor in those areas. And then, again, some of the costs with privacy and biases and things.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about there. Well, Sinead Bovell, thanks so much for putting it in perspective for us. We appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.